Hi Scorpios, and welcome to your June 2017 General Tarot Forecast. This is Sky, and I'm here to give you guys hopefully another amazing reading for your month ahead. So I hope that you guys are surviving Gemini time. It can be a really good or difficult time for Scorpio because your head can get really scattered during this time. Gemini and Scorpio are actually quite similar. There are a lot of same ways that Gemini and Scorpio go about solving problems and logically coming to conclusions about life. The only difference is Scorpio does it from their emotional center and Gemini does it from their communicative or logical center. So it's like Scorpio has to really switch into that mode this time of year, and you're really forced to understand things from a logical perspective or from a communicative perspective versus like your gut feeling or your hunch or your emotional center. So if you're too focused on feeling something emotionally or your gut feeling or even your intuition right now, you can wind up in a weird place or a difficult circumstance, because I think that Scorpio's gut feeling and intuition kind of struggles this time of the year for sure until we get into Cancer time, when it will definitely come back and you can use it much more healthily. You guys right now are in a place of formation. You're building a foundation. You have Three of Pentacles as your central theme this month, which is really good for me to see. I'm very happy about that because I think that you guys are finally building yourself out of the past. You're finally building yourself out of what really went wrong almost a year ago now. I think that some of you are also in a similar place to Cancer, where you might feel like you need to mourn or grieve or celebrate. No, I don't want to say celebrate, but you're like commemorating or experiencing the memory of something past. I feel that this summer marks some kind of anniversary for a lot of you, or marks a very prominent time of your life, and you kind of look back. It's better to kind of look forward right now. Give yourself some time to feel it and to maybe have ritual. I also recommended this for Cancer as well. Maybe if you experienced a really difficult breakup last year, or you experienced the death in the family or the death of somebody close to you, something that was very difficult for you at the time, it's good to give it a specific set amount of time to grieve, like do some kind of ritual, like let go balloons or burn something, I don't know, whatever you do, and allow it to be over at that point in time. It's really not the best time to be stuck in bed or to isolate yourself or to cut yourself off, as you might be tempted to with Saturn retrograde. There is something really strong and powerful in the works for you, Scorpio. You're creating something that you don't know yet. You're creating something with these kind of old sensory experiences that you have, like maybe these old worn out habits or old aspirations that you kind of contribute to in a roundabout way, is all contributing to the grander experience for you right now. So it will be nice to avoid any kind of harsh dialogue about old habits that you have, unless they're really destructive, you know, any kind of like really bad addiction. But I just mean kind of old habits relating to how you pursue your goals or how you bring things together, how you materialize, that might not feel like they're working perfectly right now. It's okay to continue that right now. It's okay to keep working through that and to keep any kind of effort coming, because it's very easy during this time for you, Scorpio, to fall through with effort, or if it's not working out perfectly, it's very easy to completely suspend it or go a completely different direction. Three of Pentacles is as your central theme, so there's something that you've already started on that might even have to do with collaboration or have to do with other people that really needs to be seen through right now. It might even just be collaborating with yourself. Are you your own worst enemy right now, Scorpio? Are you standing in the way of achieving the goals that you need? I really feel like that's a major experience for you right now, is understanding how to not be your own worst enemy. It seems like there may be other people coming in, I would say towards the end of the month and into July, especially once we get into Leo time, who can help you, who can be a springboard into the experience that you need right now. But you've got to stand out of your own way before you can understand these people. And that's a really good way to put it. I think you've got to stand out of your way before you can understand. You've got to stand out of your way before you attract in the people who are going to make this a lot easier for you. By August, you should start seeing it, because we'll have Jupiter moving into Scorpio soon thereafter. Into like October and November is when Jupiter should be strong into Scorpio, but Saturn will go direct at the end of August. So we're right in the middle of the Saturn retrograde right now. If you're a Scorpio who has Sagittarius, especially in late Sagittarius, you're experiencing the brunt of a Saturn retrograde. And it's a hard time because you've experienced Saturn retrograde for the last, I guess, 4 years, 5 years, because Saturn was retrograde in your sign from 2013 to 15, late 15. So you, Scorpio, have a lot to teach everybody right now, actually. Humanity is benefiting from you in some way because you have gone through a lesson that most people haven't. Sagittarius is going through it right now, but it's in a completely different way. It's a lot less emotional for Sagittarius than it is circumstantial, or than it is about progression and aspiration. For Scorpio, it was about an inward thing. For Sagittarius, it's more about an outward thing, the Saturn transit, but it's still the same energy regardless. And so you have a lot to teach Sagittarius right now. You might have a lot of Sagittarius people coming in looking for guidance from you. It will be really nice to use that empathetic gut feeling hunch that you're wanting to use so much to relay to these people some kind of understanding or some kind of cheering. It's almost like you're a cheerleader or something for people, and they don't even have to be Sagittarius Sun. You'll know the type what I'm talking about. These people that come in who feel a little bit scared or who are kind of shaking right now. It will be really good for you to nurture them in a way that is similar to tough love, but not discouraging, because you can really give them what you've learned, and then as they are Sagittarius, the sign after you, or they're influenced by that sign, they can then expose it and take it into the external world in the way that you could not. And that's what this is all about, Scorpio. You have so much to teach right now, as does Sag. I kind of went off on a tangent there, but I'm just saying you're going to feel a little bit alone and isolated probably till you can stand out of your way. Then there are probably going to be people who come in who have some kind of Sagittarius influence that you teach something, and they can suddenly take the knowledge and wisdom that you have to create a much better circumstance collectively. And you have to understand that when you do that karmically, these people will probably also extremely help your circumstance in some way or another. So don't be afraid to give people wisdom if they are asking for it. Don't force it on people. And don't be afraid to nurture people in a way that's not discouraging or too soft at the same time, finding that middle ground. It's also a month where you're surpassing your paranoia or surpassing the ego game. You can, at least. And again, this is something that could last through the Saturn retrograde, I feel. But a lot of Scorpios are very stuck in their ego, very stuck in scenarios, okay? Like, I see some of you have a very difficult relationship to exertion, whether that be through exercise or overworking yourself or overextending yourself. You're very connected to the scenarios that run through your head during those times, very connected to seeing these people from your past who put you potentially through a very difficult situation during Saturn and Scorpio time. You have like new scenarios that are coming to you, and that's not a coincidence. There is a connection there. I think a lot of you are wondering, okay, like this ex or this difficult relationship from my past, why am I not letting go of that? Why am I still thinking about scenarios that haven't happened? It is a sign that they're probably thinking about you just as much, but it is in a different way. So if you're thinking lovingly about them, they're probably thinking quite seethingly about you, and vice versa. Things are not what they seem when relating to these almost scripted scenarios that go through your head during times of exertion. It's a nice time to heal through a different kind of exertion, through something that is more leveled or consistent, something that allows you to breathe. It's a good time for yoga. It's a good time for new health regimens. It's a good time for detoxing, as it always is with Scorpio. You kind of always have that as a birthright to go back to, but it's extra potent this month, especially moving into Cancer time. You know, if you're still in Gemini time, which is before June 21st, you can get too caught up in your head about it, and you might be like reading like ingredient labels for your detoxes or whatever, and like hyper comparing them and not being able to choose or trying to mix and stuff, which isn't so good. But once we get into Cancer time, you'll have a good intuitive feeling about what to introduce into your body or out of your body during that time. Let's see, other collective messages that come for you, Scorpio. Something is ending in June, and it's like ever since February that's been the case for you. Something very strong has ended each month. And I think for some of you it's been one thing that's ended in like so many different ways. But for some of you it has been something different each time because there's been so much that you couldn't support. You know, you've got to know what you're walking away from in June. And you've got to know what's taking up the majority of your mental energy as well. And I'm going to go ahead and look at this reading from the week to week, and then we will sum more stuff up. So in the first week, Scorpios, you have the World rooted down by 8 of Cups reversed. This is where I feel that the strongest ending happens. I feel like you know what has to happen moving into June. Because the World is the end of the major arcana. It's the end of the book. It's the end of the chapter. Honestly, and I don't mean to freak you guys out at all, I associate like physical deaths more with the World card than I do the Death card. So you can learn that somebody might have died, or you can learn that something has ended for somebody close to you. But I don't feel that this is something that's like violent or scary for you, because there aren't many other cards that really suggest that. No, like 10 of Swords. I mean, you're stuck in your head about it, but it's not something that's like a very close loved one, I don't feel. Although for some of you it could be, but you're going to know about it by the time you watch this video, I would say. But it is ending energy one way or another. Some relationships, maybe with family members, are coming to a close here, or with people who had a family-like bond with you. It is June. I know that a lot of people are having family reunions, and I know for me, as myself, I'm like, I don't want to go to the family reunion. I don't want to connect with those people, but at the same time, it's hard to decide because there's like a normalcy to it, and Saturn retrograde does demand normalcy to some extent. So some of you are caught up in your head about reconnecting with family this month. And I think that there is validation that it's okay to walk away if you feel that it's a hurtful environment, or you feel that it's a destabilizing environment. But you have to know what you're walking away from. Is there just a need to walk away from something, period? Is it actually in the family or the relationship or the career or whatever it is for you personally? Is there just a need to walk away? Or is it that specific thing that's unhealthy? Do weigh that out. Also, you might be traveling. Some of you, beautiful to go on vacation, beautiful to go somewhere you've not been in June, Scorpio. Only if you're not feeling like paranoid about what's going to happen while you're gone. You've got to make sure that you're not scared about what's happening while you're gone before you go somewhere. But if you can disconnect, if you can just be with yourself and be happy in yourself, it's great to travel right now. Because 8 of Cups is kind of a card that relates to traveling as well. But then again, it's like, what are you moving away from? What are you walking away from? It seems like your mind is more on what you're walking away from versus what you're going towards. That's hard right now, Scorpio. You should try to think of what you're walking towards versus what you're walking away from. Second week, you guys have Knight of Cups. You're down by 3 of Wands reversed. There's kind of a need to turn your back on relating to everybody, or understanding everybody's emotional struggle, or using other people's emotional struggle as an excuse to not be more assertive or active on your own part. You're on your own journey, Scorpio. If you can't be honest with your loved ones or the people around you, do you need to walk away? Do you need something else? There's also kind of a cowardice happening a little bit for some of you. That's really not the right word to use, because Scorpio is like the least sign to be the coward of the zodiac, but there's a fear to cause pain to other people here. And I definitely wouldn't call that cowardly. In fact, it's quite strong. I think a lot of Scorpios can be kind of proud of themselves about how they can, you know, take the brunt of it for their loved ones, and how they can sort of self-sacrifice to keep the peace. But there's a need to change that with Saturn retrograde for sure. Because everyone kind of talks about Saturn like it's a very difficult or almost like antagonistic transit. And I understand that association, but Saturn is great in the way that you kind of get a free pass to change things or destroy what no longer works. It's where the most of the consequences come from Saturn, when we try to breathe life into something that is dead, or when we try to continue something that cannot continue. That's where we feel the most pain during a Saturn transit. And you're definitely called in the second week of June to not compensate for other people, or to not deny your own truth, just to maintain the what seems like sanity of your household or your family or these close relationships. If it's that delicate, it's going to fall apart anyway. Okay, so you have like one of two options, or one of two scenarios that you're going through. Either it's just going to fall through, as I'm saying, and you're going to experience it anyway, or it's hard for you to face the truth that you have, so you might be exaggerating other people's problems so you don't have to tell it to them. Or you might be exaggerating what other people are going through to kind of procrastinate the difficult experience that you feel saying your truth would be. Because all in all, Scorpio, you're on a journey of healing. And for whatever reason, speaking the truth or shedding that light on the darkness within you, Scorpio, is something that can be very overwhelming to other people, and it does usually come with some kind of like confrontation or some kind of chaotic experience. And you know, you have to understand that you can't heal and be anticipating that. I would bet that this struggle that you're having with your ego and thinking of scenarios of people who aren't even involved in this, of the past and how you should have been different, how you should have been better, is your psyche's way of coping from not being able to tell your truth to other people, okay? So once you can tell your truth to the people that really matter, I think that your psyche will start to even out during these times of exertion and during these times of difficulty, okay? So you really... Or you can kind of walk away too. That's kind of an option. But you can't really do that without making it clear to these people too. Because some of you have set up a situation where you've not like voiced that you're actually upset. Some people really don't know. Because you're a good actor and you're kind of a performer and you're good at faking happiness. So in a way you can't hold that against people. Okay? And I say that as a Scorpio myself. Like, I think that all Scorpios can relate to that, where you kind of get upset at people for not knowing that you're going through a difficult situation, or for not, dare I say, walking on eggshells when you do it so much for them. You have to understand, Scorpio, sometimes people just have no clue. And that only really lies on the Scorpio's shoulders at the end of the day. Regardless, I mean, I'm just going to be real with you guys. Like, that's only on Scorpio's shoulders. And it's hard because you've seen people's good side, you've seen people happy, and you've seen people upset. And then when you have the choice to make them upset with your own actions, it's very easy to maintain normalcy, just to see them happy. And I guess maybe that's commendable in some way. But to make that choice, you then kind of have to be prepared to accept the aftermath of them maybe not quite catching on to what is really wrong with you if you can't acknowledge that yourself, okay? Pretty deep in the second week, and even though it's just court card and minor arcana, it really is about a big change happening in the way that you relate, empathize, and vice versa with other people. Okay, so third week, Scorpio, 9 of Swords, reversed or down by 2 of Swords. I don't actually see that as something that's terrible. I know that those cards are pretty controversial or pretty stereotypically negative, but I think that you're turning it on its head. If you can speak your truth, 9 of Swords, you kind of start to see through it, and I can see that as a very healing experience for you. And some of you are just kind of worried about people from your past still. You're like worried that they're okay, or you're worried that you won't ever get to speak your truth. You're worried. It's all about speaking your truth here, Scorpio, which is very talked about in the spiritual community, and everyone talks about that, but it really is real in June. And there's something that you've like not even realized about that you need to look deeper into. Because these late Swords cards, they're all about like results of not speaking your truth, or results of, for the most part, not speaking it to yourself. So I think that you can, by speaking the truth, see through the paranoia. The worst case scenario, Scorpio, is that you speak your truth and then you start fantasizing or idealizing about how things could have been had you not. They would have been worse, let me tell you. So it would, I think, behoove you, Scorpio, to not think in that way. It's rooted down by 2 of Swords, so it's like, I think that things start moving more quickly than you're prepared for once you speak this truth, and that is the nature of the game. 2 of Swords is sort of the minor version of the Lovers, in my opinion. You kind of have a crossroads. It's one of them. Also 2 of Cups, and the 2 cards in general. Anyway, so you kind of have a crossroads that pops up with 2 of Swords, and that's rooted down by the way that you see, or it's rooting down the way that you're seeing through your old sort of self-sabotaging tendencies. So I don't know. I would just try to make some sort of forward progress in whatever way that you can. You don't have to be so like looking at things through a microscope and so self-effacing, you know what I mean? It seems like the second half of June is a lot about reflection. 9 of Swords and 6 of Pentacles, too, in your 4th week, are both reflectory cards. I'd rather you see you in 7 of Pentacles versus 9 of Swords. They're both reversed, though, so there's no need to hyper-reflect. There's no need to obsess and obsess and obsess about the way that things were, or the way that things could have been, or all the different options in front of you if you do this or that. Do something and move forward. And try to not do the thing that would be so characteristic or the thing that puts you back in another cycle that you're in right now. But at the same time, carry through the positive things in your life. As long as you can keep a consistent effort on what you're actually achieving with Saturn, you know, Saturn retrograde, you're very rewarded, okay? Because I think that maybe some of you have a gut instinct to not quit or to not stop relationships or just change things too drastically right now. And that is good with Saturn to not do that. But there are some things that inevitably have to be done that with Saturn, and it will be really good if you can keep the consistent effort archetype into the parts of your life that are more inanimate, have less to do with people, and are more about just your path and not about relationships. Fourth week, Scorpios, 10 of Swords rooted down by 7 of Pentacles reversed. I think that you have a lot of loose ends to tie up once you finally speak your truth. It could be somebody coming back again, very possible. And you have a lot to sort with that. You have a lot of, I think, emotional clutter. You could get closure this month. I'm going to be completely honest. The World is probably the most closure-oriented card in the tarot, more so than Death, I would say, or like 10 of Swords. So it could really end this month. And it's probably not going to be as significant as you expected it to be. It would be nice if you could laugh at yourself. And laugh at yourself for making it out to be so much more than it ever was. Laughter is good. Comedy is good during Saturn. Don't use it to ignore the reality, but a bit of lightheartedness, you know, a good cry that you kind of laugh about, it's very helpful, for sure. For sure. Okay. Not too much to say. The fourth week is pretty self-explanatory. Lots of loose ends to tie up, lots of reflection to do about that. You can actually relax physically this month, though, if you choose. I feel that any loose ends have to do with an emotional or mental aspect. Everything should be focused on building this new foundation as you have 3 of Pentacles as your center card. Enjoy collaborating with other people. Enjoy building something physical like a house or a bank account or something that maybe doesn't have to do with so many people. Okay, so if your house or your bank account has to do with a bunch of other people, then maybe not. But something that is just yours, it will be nice to build up this month. Maybe your sanity. Yeah, that sounds good. Maybe your emotional reactions to things, that would be nice too. Yeah, that might even be priority for you guys. So anyway, really good reading for you, Scorpio. Just keep powering through. You're actually not in the worst position of all the zodiac signs right now. You're starting to get onto the other side of things, where I would say you're kind of on the half of the zodiac that's actually doing a little bit better than the rest. So count your blessings this month. Don't focus on where everything went wrong. You're more blessed. Yeah, I almost got for a second, I felt like a twinge of anger. It was really funny. I'm like, you are blessed, Scorpio. You have a lot of blessings. Do not throw that away by hyper-focusing on the one thing that went wrong, because you have a lot more than a lot of the signs do right now, actually. Okay, guys, I love you. Sorry for my tough love. I'm hoping that you're healing this month, and I'm hoping that you're becoming less fragile, less delicate, but at the same time being that for yourself. If you guys would like to have a private reading with me, you can click on that link, I believe now. It should be in the center of the screen. Also, you can check out your sun, moon, rising sign, or subscribe to my channel. I so appreciate your support, likes, and comments, Scorpio. I will be seeing you in July. Much love until then. Bye.